Welcome back to the channel.
It is outstanding to have you joining us for another deep dive into the source material.
Okay, let's unpack this right away. We are looking at the legendary Game 6 of the 1972 World Chess Championship, an absolute Cold War proxy battle between American challenger Bobby Fischer and Soviet world champion Boris Spassky.
Exactly. And we are not wasting any time. Let's jump straight to the board, because the tension starts on move 1.
Fischer, playing with the white pieces, reaches out and, wait, he pushes his c-pawn forward 2 squares.
I mean, that is just an immediate shockwave through the chess world. Fischer almost exclusively plays his e-pawn forward first, what he calls best by test. But here he opens with the English opening to completely dodge the state-sponsored Soviet preparation.
Spassky looks at it, and he responds by pushing his e-pawn up 1 square.
Just a solid, flexible response. Fischer follows up quickly by developing his knight toward the center of the board.
And Spassky thrusts his d-pawn forward 2 squares, immediately challenging the center.
It's a high-stakes thriller right out of the gate. Fischer matches that energy by pushing his own d-pawn up 2 squares.
Spassky brings his knight out to develop his kingside.
And Fischer develops his other knight. We are seeing a massive battle for center board control already.
Oh, definitely. Spassky brings out his dark-squared bishop, aiming it right down the middle.
And Fischer immediately pins Spassky's knight by aggressively bringing his dark-squared bishop out.
Right, pinning that knight down. Spassky decides he's had enough of the center tension for a second and tucks his king away safely into the corner, castling on the king's side.
Fischer solidifies his pawn structure by pushing his e-pawn up just 1 square.
Spassky pushes his a-pawn up 1 square to poke at Fischer's bishop-like, asking him a question, "What are you doing here?"
Fischer retreats that bishop slightly, maintaining the pin but stepping out of danger.
And then Spassky pushes his b-pawn up 1 square.
And there it is, the Tartakower variation. Spassky is entering his absolute fortress. He had never lost a game with the black pieces in this specific variation.
Which is just wild, because if we look at the historical sources we're using today, Fischer was down 2-0 at the start of this match. He almost didn't show up until Henry Kissinger literally called him.
Yeah, the USA versus USSR framing was immense. We're just reporting the historical atmosphere here, not taking any political sides. But this was viewed as capitalism versus communism on a chessboard. And Fischer captures Spassky's central pawn.
Spassky immediately captures back with his knight.
Fischer trades off his dark-squared bishop, crashing it into Spassky's bishop.
Spassky recaptures that piece with his queen. The material is dead even, but the psychological warfare is off the charts.
Fischer then trades his knight for Spassky's knight, right in the center.
And Spassky takes back with his e-pawn.
Okay, look at the board now. Fischer slides his rook over to the open c-file, taking control of that entire vertical lane.
Spassky develops his light-squared bishop, bringing another piece into the fight.
Fischer swings his queen out to the edge of the board, aggressively eyeing Spassky's position.
Spassky pushes his c-pawn forward 2 squares.
And Fischer slides his queen over 1 square to keep the pressure mounting.
Spassky brings his rook over to defend that c-pawn.
Okay, stop right here. If we connect this to the bigger picture, Fischer has deliberately walked into Spassky's favorite opening to dismantle him. Spassky now has hanging pawns. 2 pawns side by side that can't defend each other.
And this is where Fischer drops a bomb. Fischer drops his bishop right into Spassky's territory.
Yes. The bishop lands deep on the queen side.
I mean, I wouldn't have done that. Isn't that insanely risky? He's just putting his piece where it can be attacked instantly.
No, it's brilliant because he is practically begging Spassky to attack it. It's a provocation.
And Spassky takes the bait. He pushes his pawn forward to attack the bishop.
Fischer ignores the attack for a second and captures Spassky's c-pawn with his own d-pawn.
Spassky captures back with his b-pawn.
And Fischer finally, castles his king to safety.
So the trap is set. Fischer provoked that a pawn move to weaken Spassky's structure. And Spassky, he lifts his rook up the side of the board to defend.
Oh no. What's fascinating here is that our documentary sources reveal this exact position happened in a 1970 game. Efim Geller, who is literally Spassky's coach right now, warned Spassky never to move the rook up in this position. He told him to move the queen instead.
Spassky forgot the prep. He just stepped into a void his own coach warned him about. Guys, if you saw that trap coming, hit the like button right now. Tell us in the comments. Would you have remembered the prep under Cold War pressure?
Seriously, and Fischer instantly punishes it. He retreats his bishop safely back to his own side.
Spassky develops his knight, trying to untangle his pieces.
Fischer jumps his knight into the absolute center of the board, a total power move.
Spassky slides his queen over to the king side, trying to pivot.
And Fischer sacrifices his knight. He crashes it into Spassky's bishop.
Spassky takes the knight back with his hef pawn.
And here it is, the super zug. Fischer thrusts his e-pawn forward.
He just leaves it there. He offers a free pawn. But wait, if Spassky takes it, his entire central pawn structure completely shatters.
Exactly. It's a move of breathtaking conceptual depth.
Spassky knows it's poison. He refuses to take it and pushes his own d-pawn past it.
But the moment he bypasses it, Fischer pushes his f-pawn up. He completely locks down the center of the board, clamps it shut.
Spassky moves his queen to the center, trying to find some air.
Fischer pushes his e-pawn even further forward.
Spassky shifts his rook over to the b-file.
Fischer posts his bishop on a dominant diagonal, aiming right at Spassky's king.
Spassky steps his king into the corner, trying to hide.
Fischer swings his queen to the king side, building a massive attacking wave.
Spassky retreats his knight, pulling his defenders back.
Fischer calmly pushes his b-pawn up one square, solidifying his wall.
Spassky pushes his pawn forward, looking for any kind of counterplay.
Fischer ignores it and pushes his f-pawn again, cracking open the king side.
Spassky captures that f-pawn with his e-pawn.
Fischer immediately recaptures with his rook.
Spassky repositions his knight, bouncing it to the edge.
Fischer doubles his rooks. He slides his other rook over to the f-file. Absolute maximum pressure.
Spassky moves his queen backward. He is running out of options.
Fischer brings his queen up, threatening everything.
And now, Spassky just shuffles his rook.
This is what commentators call the symphony of strangulation. A computer might suggest a messy butcher's attack here, but Fischer plays like an artist. He is using piece negation.
Fischer pushes his Ulss pawn forward.
Spassky shuffles his other rook.
Fischer pushes his e-pawn deep into Spassky's territory.
And Spassky shuffles his rook again.
Fischer centralizes his queen, bringing her to the middle of the board.
And Spassky shuffles his queen. He literally has nothing productive to do. Fischer is using roughly 5 points of material to entirely paralyze 11 points of Spassky's material on the queen side.
Fischer pushes his pawn.
Spassky moves his queen back.
Fischer slides a rook down slightly, just improving his position by a fraction.
Spassky shuffles his queen again. It is agonizing.
Fischer moves his other rook down slightly.
Spassky moves his queen back.
Here's where it gets really interesting. I want you to imagine sitting in Spassky's chair. You are the world champion. And you are reduced to just sliding your pieces back and forth because you are completely walled off.
It's pure zugzwang. Fischer drops his bishop back.
Spassky shuffles his queen again.
Fischer maneuvers his queen, lining up the final blow.
Spassky jumps his knight forward in a desperate attempt to break out.
And Fischer sacrifices the exchange. He slams his rook into Spassky's knight, taking it off the board.
Spassky takes the rook back with his g-pawn.
Fischer captures Spassky's f-pawn with his remaining rook.
Spassky steps his king up out of the corner.
Fischer brings his bishop right back to that deadly diagonal.
Spassky steps his king back into the corner.
And Fischer slides his queen to f4.
Yeah.
The geometry is absolute. There are so many unavoidable checkmates threatened. Spassky cannot defend his king without giving up all his pieces.
Spassky stares at the board, and he resigns.
But he doesn't just resign. Spassky stands up. The entire audience in Reykjavik is on their feet giving a standing ovation to Fischer, and the reigning Soviet world champion joins them. He publicly applauds his bitter rival.
It is incredible. Spassky was applauding the sheer art of the game, separating the player from the politics. Fischer, of course, was completely overwhelmed by it. He thought of Spassky as a mortal enemy and just grabbed his score sheet and practically ran out of the hall.
The aftermath was massive. Fischer took the lead and broke the 24-year Soviet dominance, winning the match. But Spassky was treated as a traitor back home, had his stipends slashed, and eventually moved to France.
And Fischer became a global superstar, but the pressure completely broke him. He vanished, forfeited his title, violated a UN embargo years later for a rematch, and died in exile in Iceland. Just a deeply tragic epilogue for both of them. So what does this all mean?
It brings us to prophylaxis. Fischer didn't win this by just swinging a sword blindly. He anticipated Spassky's plans and systematically restricted them. In life, we often think we need a loud, aggressive attack to solve our problems. But true mastery is about quietly taking away the obstacles, starving the problem of oxygen until it collapses under its own weight.
You win the battle before the final blow is ever struck. But I want to leave you with one final thought. The reigning world champion lost the most important game of his life, not because Fischer played some unfathomable magical move, but because Spassky simply forgot a defensive warning his own coach had given him. How often do you fail, not because you lack the skill, but because you just forget to apply the knowledge you already have?
A phenomenal question to consider.
Make sure you subscribe to Chess Explained by AI so you don't forget your prep and hang your entire queenside exactly like Spassky just did. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and we'll catch you on the next one.